Look at this. Prince Michael of Sealand himself has presented this to me. I am now a Lord of Sealand. Lord Haruko, please. With official documentation and all. And guess what? They even gave me a small magnet too. Isn't that exciting? Who am I kidding? Sealand is a micronation in the UK that is literally just an oil barge. This thing is kind of useless. I'll never buy something so useless again. Well, guess who just bought a SNES Classic? Me. That was not clear. Super Nintendo, the successor to the NES. It released in 1990 in Japan and in 1991 in South Korea. And never here, that's right, I have zero childhood attachment to this console. But I still enjoy a lot of games on it. It's a quality system, and in this video I will highlight my favorite games from it, because this is what this video series is about. Stupid! Let's get the obvious out of the way first. Super Mario World, the launch title for the system, was kind of like a refinement of everything that made Mario great on the NES. And it shows, the graphics became far better, it's just great to look at, and the gameplay is pretty much the same thing as the SMB trilogy, but now you can ride a dinosaur.
Roar!
Yoshi appeared in this game, I think, this is probably his first appearance? I'm not sure. And he's a fantastic addition to the series. You can use him to run faster, smack him, and drop him to reach higher ledges. Peter would probably be mad, but Yoshi is a dinosaur, so it's kinda too late for that. Yoshi has spun off into his own series of games eventually, and also into a whole subgenre of fetish art. Don't look it up for the love of it. The soundtrack is still in the Jamaican era, and Koji Kondo is killing it, but essentially it's just another 2D Mario game. As much as it is a classic, I never really was much of a fan of this one, to be honest. Although it's still a good time, not gonna lie. I did get to play this as a kid, but on my Game Boy Advance, which had a really nice port with excessive voice acting. A Link to the Past is a fantastic game, but that starting screen is fucking disgusting with its flesh and cheese. In this one you play as Link and you have to save Zelda from Ganon. Wow, what a story. It's a fun one. It's really at this point when Zelda stopped making sense, because it's essentially a different Link, Zelda and Hyrule timeline-wise. Something to do with the reincarnation, I don't know. Zelda timeline is kinda dumb. Anyway, it's a great action-adventure game where you have to visit dungeons, solve puzzles, fight coolest bosses, listen to epic music and soak in this fantasy atmosphere. It's really good and improves upon the foundation built in the NES game. Plus it aged very well compared to both NES titles. It's not even like super difficult or cryptic, even nowadays it still plays fun. The story is essentially the same as the first game, but it's kind of a pattern with this series. Super Metroid is probably my favorite game on the system. The plot picks up immediately after Metroid 2 and it's friggin' great. The Metroid that thinks his mother gets stolen by Ridley and you have to find him to prevent the catastrophe. Look at the title screen, dead bodies everywhere, that shit is so chilling. And Super Metroid is kinda like Metroid, except it's still fun to play today and aged well and is not confusing. I suppose that's the theme of SNES as a console. If Game Boy was reimagining of the established franchises, SNES was refining and polishing them, so they would stand the test of time, and boy, this one did. Someone has a voice clip in this one where she dies. There were more, but they were never used due to being, and I'm quoting, too sexy. That's kinda funny. Super Metroid is a long game by the standards of the 90s, and requires a lot of patience and love for exploration. The boss designs are gorgeous, and the drama in the end is incredible. I don't want to spoil it, but, you know, it's a 30-year-old game, come on now. No, I'm still not gonna spoil it. But I want to, because the end twist is cool. Possibly the very best Metroid game, if you don't count Prime or Dread. Puyo Puyo 2 is a Tetris-like game where you compete against cartoony anime characters in making colorful combos. You play as Arle Nadia, protagonist of Madou Monogatari RPG series and Puyo Puyo Puzzle series, and this game is full of comedic dialogue, great and even a little challenging gameplay and funky music. You have to battle like 10 characters, and their banter is very amusing and silly. However, it never left Japan, so we had to settle for a fun translation. Except, it did? Kirby's Avalanche is a Tetris-like game where you compete against cartoony characters and making colorful combos. You play as Kirby, protagonist of Kirby series, and this game is full of comedic dialogue, great and even a little challenging gameplay, and funky music. Wait a minute. It's the same fucking game. Americans wouldn't be interested in cutesy Japanese aesthetic, so they skinned the game into a Kirby game. Was it a bad idea? I don't really know. But in this game, Kirby talks and he's an asshole. Like, jeez, man, calm down. It's funny, but it's kind of out of character, you know? I mean, he did beat up King DDD for no reason in that 1DS game once because he thought he stole his cake. So maybe not that out of character. By the way, side note, there was a game on Sega Genesis called Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine is a Tetris-like game where you compete against cartoony characters in making colorful combos. You play as Dr. Eggman, antagonist of Sonic the Hedgehog series, and this game is full of comedic dialogue, great and even little challenging gameplay, and funky music. Yes, it's also Puyo Puyo 2. Oh man, time for some good shit. Final Fantasy IV on SNES, aka the first Final Fantasy game with a plot. And what a plot it is, you play as this sexy beast, Cecil Harvey. The first twink of many to come, and you have to save the world from the evil Darth Vader ripoff, with help from bizarre characters like Leafy, Tweedledee, Tweedledoo, Edge, and Sid. They all die, but they'll come back. It's a stupid game. Very stupid plot, but the entertainment factor is off the chart. And the twist with the villain, while predictable, is also strong and the execution is nice. I liked the moon bunnies that you have to fight on the moon. Japanese folklore reference. I'm a shameless weeb. Final Fantasy V is great, and it's probably the least serious one ever. The creator of the series probably got tired of trying to write an epic plot, so just made 5 more light-hearted and comedic. He even named the main character Butts. So, like, his name is Bots, actually. But it depends on the version of a translation you're using. I like Bots far more, and I cannot lie. The plot has completely vanished out of my head at this point, but one of the characters dies halfway through, and his daughter inherits his stats. That was pretty cool. Also, probably the first death in the history of the franchise that's not only permanent, but actually stings, but I think the contrast between it and the comedic tone of the game, well, some would argue that it clashes, but I think it sells the tragedy more. But yeah, it's a good game, but the random encounters out the ass, so, like, stop. Final Fantasy VI is a serious, brooding, dark, epic, and one of the best, if not the best game of the entire franchise. It makes sure to sell you on this idea, cause the opening credits are fucking long as fuck. It's a good story, and every playable character out of 9 has a compelling and interesting story arc. The villain, Kefka, is pretty damn well written, the music in this game is fantastic, and honestly, I won't do this game justice, it needs its own video, and I'm not gonna be the one to do it because I'm lazy. Have you ever played space shooters like Gradius? They're kinda boring, right? It's mostly just space and nothing else. Well, Konami released that, and released Parodius. It's a colorful shoot-em-up that is a parody of Gradius. You can play as a squid guy, bunny girls, and other random creatures and go through a huge slew of bizarre locations. It also features characters from other Konami series like Jet Jaguar from Gradius itself and Twin Bee from Twin Bee. They're all like 40 minutes long tops, and they made like 5 of these games. Check them out. They're very fun and worth your time. Just a fair warning, they can get lewd, especially Sexy Parodius. Yes, that's a real title, Sexy Parodius. Oh, and you can play as a castrated pig. Fun. Shin Megami Tensei 1 and 2 are both JRPG games that never left Japan, and they're awesome. Loosely based on books of the same name, they offer a first-person perspective. You need to find keys and stuff and battle different religious beings, which is part of the reason why it was never localized in the States. Both games are pretty similar, and you have several choices which affect your path of law, chaos, or neutrality that affect the ending of the games. I'd say they're definitely worth a shot, unless you're religious, cause they might make you uncomfortable. Disclaimer though, Persona series is a spin-off of some SMT. If you despise Persona 5, this is the root of all of the evil. F-Zero is a fun racing game that still holds up well, and its main gimmick, like insanely high speeds, has been absolutely refined by its future entries on GameCube and N64, which is unfortunately why for me personally F-Zero on SNES sort of feels obsolete. Don't get me wrong, it's a great game, but the future improvements kinda kill it for me. Also, Captain Falcon is barely in the game at all. I'd still play it on occasion though, nothing quite like F-Zero out there. The speeds feel insane and the mistakes feel fatal. This game does not fuck around. I am a filthy casual, however, so I prefer Super Mario Kart. Now that's a racing game. First, in the Mario Kart series, it still has the super thing in the title. It's fun, but the graphics aged like milk. What am I looking at? Absolute mess. Still playable, however. I'd even argue fun. The split screen thing is a bit annoying, but it's manageable. Future improvements make this game obsolete, so to the point that it's more of a historic curiosity rather than a game I'd go out of my way to play now. Good music though. Look at that fucking roster. All these familiar characters and Donkey Kong Jr. At the time Nintendo thought good old Donkey Kong was too big to fit into a cart, and I can't blame them exactly, but this is crazy. Crazier even that he never appeared again. Like, ever. Donkey Kong Country brought in Diddy Kong, who pretty much replaced Donkey Kong Jr. forever in minds of people. He was planned to be DK Jr. himself, but Nintendo said no. So Rare just made him a separate character and he became extremely popular. But it did far more than that. Donkey Kong Country pretty much reinvented the franchise after a decade-long break. Seriously, look. Well, that Game Boy game happened, but it didn't cause a big splash. Donkey Kong Country, however, made the game a fantastic platformer with bomb-ass graphics insane by early 90s standard. You know how you look at old game box art and play the game and it's completely different? This was probably the first game where what you see is what you get. People legitimately thought this was for another console, and they were shocked when it was revealed that no, this is for SNES. They even made Donkey Kong from arcade games and Old Man, Cranky Kong, just to show that this is not your dad's Donkey Kong. This is new, fresh and exciting. And this Donkey Kong is a grandson of Cranky. His father is assumed to be Donkey Kong Jr., but he never appears again. Fatherless behavior. But yeah, the British company developing the game were responsible behind this timeline fuckery. And it gives the Kongs more depth, and I appreciate that. And yeah, I know they called DK Cranky's son in the movie, but the movie is not canon to the game, so shut up. But yeah, it's a nice platformer with a lot of British meta humor thrown in, plus amazing graphics for its time, and the simplest plot where you have to save the banana horde that got stolen by Kremlings and King Carol. It's a simple story, but it works, and I love how expressive the Kongs are during all of this. It really gives DK a lot of personality. The best part is fake out credits during final boss, which lure you into a false sense of security, and then BAM! He fucking kills you. Brutal. And listen to this music by David Wise. So melancholic and beautiful. A lot of people gather in the comments of one particular song to nostalgize and talk about hardships of life and aging. Honestly, Donkey Kong Country is maybe the best game on the system. A lot of people accuse it of costing on graphics, but it's just so funny, charming, well written, well crafted and fun, not to mention atmospheric. I love it. Okay, I lied. It's not the best game of SNES. Not even close. It's Donkey Kong Country 2! They made a sequel and it's fantastic. This time Donkey Kong is not even here? Odd to keep him in the title, but whatever. Now it's Diddy and his girlfriend Dixie, how he diddles. It's pretty much the same game, but better. Platforming is improved, level design is improved, Carol is back again and he is improved. Even the music somehow improved. Reuse of the improved phrase, is kind of annoying in this script. I don't really know what else to say, just play it and see. You know how all trilogies have that first part be good and 2 be great and, third one is always kind of bad? Yeah, this is no exception. Donkey Kong 3 is whatever. It really feels like Rare were running out of gas with this one. Level design became lazier, David Wise didn't even return in full capacity, and now we have to play as Dixie, and an overgrown baby gorilla that is so reviled by fans that he has never appeared again. I didn't mind him though, he's just a baby gorilla. Ultimately, however, it's still a great game, because all the basics are still there. And if after 1 and 2 you still haven't had your fill of Donkey Kong Country, definitely play 3, it is so worth it. Super Mario RPG got a remake on Switch, so play that. It's exactly the same game, but prettier graphics. Maybe a bit easier, but it's a great entry-level RPG by Squaresoft. If you want to get into a JRPG, into JRPG genre as a whole, but don't know where to start, this is a good way to start. It's a great entry-level RPG by Squaresoft, the guys behind Final Fantasy, before they became what they became today. The story when Square merged with Enix, and they became Activision Blizzard. Anyway, game's great, fantastic characterization of Bowser, which they pretty much kept intact since then, fun Peach characterization, new characters like Mallow and Gino, both of which are amazing. Bird appears and I love this whole fun plot, good entry-level JRPG gameplay, great graphics in the 90s, and, great graphics now too. Faithful reimagining in the remake, and the boob jiggle is gone. Never mind, this game is ruined. Soundtrack by Yoko Shimomura is great, and overall just a very awesome game. I was shocked to see they remade it, but now I'm really hoping for a sequel. Please, Square. Kirby Superstar is one of the best games on fucking SNES, and is directed by Masahiro Sakurai himself, the guy who invented Kirby and directed all Smash Bros. Games. He's also decently cute for his age. Kirby Superstar has 6 different game modes, but it feels like it has 6 different games altogether, which is bizarre and awesome. Spring Breeze, which is a remake of Kirby's Dream Land from Game Boy, but looking better and sexier. Dino Blade, where Kirby kills a bird, it has 4 levels and it's awesome. The Great Cave Offensive, where you find 60 different chests with treasure in a cave and have to fight a blackface dude, offensive indeed. Revenge of Meta Knight, the one where you fight Meta Knight and infiltrate his ship, really friggin' fun. Debut of Meta Knight, one of my favorite Kirby characters. Milky Way Wishes, best game in the game, long levels, cool plot, iconic final boss, but you have to beat other games to unlock it, so I'm not gonna spoil it. In addition, there's the Arena, which is a boss rush mode, and 2 minigames, Samurai Kirby and Megaton Punch, which last like 5 minutes, but those are some fun as 5 minutes. Sakurai made 8 awesome games and threw them into this game. What a god. Music is incredible too, you can hear it through this video on the background. I swear, Mega Man X is cursed. I started it on 7 different occasions and I always have to stop early due to circumstances out of my control or anti-piracy measures. Fuck you, Mega Man X. Earthbound or Mother 2 is an RPG about a boy in America going on an adventure with friends. What a unique setting for a JRPG, and it's a good one. Fun characters, weird scenarios, cool plot full of symbolism and gags, it's great and decently popular in Japan while bombing completely in America. I think marketing is at fault. Like, this game really stinks. What the fuck is this? Ness is adorable and I'm glad they added him in Smash. According to the Shigesato Itoi, the celebrity behind the game, Tony is gay, and it's rare for Nintendo to have gay characters, so that's pretty cool, I appreciate that. I love the soundtrack, it's just really bizarre and interesting. The atmosphere of 80s America is endlessly charming, and the final boss is properly terrifying. I swear this is a fetus. I should replay it, it's been some years, but yeah, I highly recommend. Rarely does Nintendo make JRPGs, but when they do, it's always top notch. Super Castlevania 4 is just Castlevania 1, no, literally, it's a remake. Why name it 4? Well, I don't know. It's a marketing tactic, I guess. It's a fantastic game nonetheless, and it is a huge graphical and gameplay improvement over the NES original, so give it a shot. Star Fox is fun as fuck, but it's ugly as hell too, and outdated. Look at this. The fact that SNES could do 3D, however, is impressive on its own. However, the gameplay is still very fun and for a rail shooter. You can forgive the graphics just for how fun the game is, and how fun the cast interactions are. Star Fox team has amazing banter, and the story is actually serious and compelling. And of course the OST is fantastic. Fox himself is a tremendously likable character, just as Falco and Peppy are. Not sleepy though, no. Argonaut Software made a masterpiece, and for its time the graphics were mind-blowing. Here's the crazy thing though, they even made a sequel, but real 3D games were emerging, so it was cancelled. Then Nintendo 30 years later released the SNES Classic, a console full of classic SNES titles. And it's pretty friggin' useless, like I said earlier, because hey, all of this can be played on Nintendo Switch Online app or through other means. But exclusive to this console, all of a sudden Nintendo dropped Star Fox 2, the one from the 90s that now officially released. And it's great, it takes gameplay from one, and adds some RTS mechanics and 2 new female characters, Faye and Miyu. Furries must be pleased. It's a great sequel and it's a shame it didn't release in the 90s, but it's a nice throwback to the bygone era. This should give SNES Classic more value, right? Panel de Pon is a cute girly puzzle game where you play as a fairy named Lip, who the fuck names their child Lip, and try to save other fairies from hypnosis. It's a really good game that the West fucking hates. It got relabeled as Tetris Attack and all fairies got replaced by Yoshi, so that's lame. The plot was so interesting and cute and now it's just beam bombs with dinosaur fucking around. Thank you Nintendo. Panel de Pon got a sequel but it never released in the States, then got a bunch of more sequels but they never featured Lip and Company, and now Nintendo of America were like, hell yeah, let's call it Puzzle League and release it. But who is that for? Last game in the franchise was in 2016 and was Animal Crossing themed, so yeah, Panel de Pon is pretty much a dead franchise. Rest in peace. We hardly knew you. Super Bomberman is a series of 4 games that are considered some of the best games in the Bomberman franchise. Actually 5 games. They even got sequels later on. And they're called Super Bomberman R, 1 and 2. And they are both available on Switch. They're not that great, to be honest. Still, I recommend, it's a fun time waster. Kirby's Dream Land 3 is a fun platformer where you fight a terrifying beast called Dark Matter with your friend Gooey and Rick and other guys. The crayon-like childlike graphics are a nice touch, but overall the game is just average. Still worth it for a playthrough. Also, is it just me or is this title screen's music absolutely insane? Like that shit is cracked out. Kirby's Dream Course is a golf game where you have to use Kirby as a ball. Whoa, Kirby Soccer when? All jokes aside, it's very good and long and especially fun in 2-player mode. Play it. I think yellow Kirby called Keyby appears here for the first time. I like Keyby. Prince of Persia had a decent port here. It's this platformer where you have to clear 20 levels in Sultan's Palace and save the princess under the 30 real-time minutes. And the time urgency adds insane pressure. I loved this game as a child, but it aged like absolute shit. This janky-ass movement is unbearable. I don't have enough patience for this. Yoshi's Island is the start of Yoshi's series of platforming games. They all suck except for this one. Well, Woolly World was pretty good. You play as Yoshi and you have to deliver lost baby Mario to his parents, making it a prequel to the entire Mario franchise essentially. It's a fun and surprisingly challenging platformer, despite the baby theme. Too bad the bosses are a fucking joke. It's a great game and actually really damn hard. Good music, cute scrapbooky graphics, and a great idea for a series that never matched its first installment, except for Woolly World. We need Woolly World too, man. Oh, and when you lose baby Mario, he cries like a real baby, and it's annoying as hell, but it's a good incentive to be good at the game, so get fucked. Mario & Wario is a fun game that you can only play with a Japan-exclusive SNES mouse, and you need to control Mario or Yoshi or Peach. Except you don't really control them, you control Wanda the Fairy, who lures them with a point-and-click logic to Luigi because they have buckets on their heads planted by Wario. You know, Super Mario, a hero who saved the Mushroom Kingdom a million times, can't remove a bucket from his head? Amazing. But yeah, it makes for a fun puzzle game, and I highly recommend it. It's like actually really fucking good and underrated, and you can play it without a mouse, thanks to a fun ROM hack. Other highlights include Pack Attack, a Pac-Man platformer that kind of sucks, but it's still a little bit fun. Wrecking Crew 98, which is a puzzle game in Mario Universe and doesn't really have that much to do with original Wrecking Crew, is really fun and has a charming story, cutscenes with Spike Foreman from the movie. Did you know his name was Blackie in Japan? What an odd name. Oh look, it's the Mario Maker helmet making its debut. And also Pocky and Rocky, a cute shoot 'em up where you play as a Shrine Maiden and the Tanuki against the Yokais and Forces of Evil. Man, Toho Project was definitely inspired by this. And also there is Super Mario All-Stars, a remake of all NES Mario games in one graphical style. Boy, did these sprites get used a lot in Flash cartoons. The SNES is a fantastic system and would go on to be considered the pinnacle of Nintendo for quite some years, deservingly so. Maybe I was too harsh on my SNES Classic, even if Switch subscription low-key made it obsolete. At least it still has Star Fox 2. Nope, Star Fox 2 already available on Switch Online.